Unit 2, Part 2 Notes. I can write an equation for a graph in slope-intercept form. So again, we are still using this slope-intercept form that we worked with in Part 1. So slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where your slope is your m and your y-intercept is your b. And reminder, we do take that positive, negative sign with the y-intercept. Slope, as a reminder, is that rise over run, your up and down value over your left and right value. And your y-intercept is the point where the line crosses the y-axis. And that y-axis is your up and down line on the graph. So right here we can see that it crosses the y-axis at -2. So last part that we got the equation and then you were to build the graph. In this case, we're going to do it backwards. You're going to write the equation for the graph. So here you can see you're given the graph. We're not doing the graphing this time. We have the graph and now we're going to write the equation. So we're going to work this problem backwards from what we did in our last practice. So step 1 is to calculate the slope. What's our rise over run? How much do we go up and how much do we go over? So find 2 points on the graph. And then we make that little slope triangle. We can build it on the bottom half of the line, so it could look like that. Or you can build it on the top half of the line, so it can look like that. It honestly does not matter. It's really just a preference. For this case, I'm going to use this bottom triangle because that's my preference. I prefer that one. Next, we are going to calculate that rise and the run. So how much do we go up? We go up 2. And how much do we go over? 1, 2, 3, 4. We go over 4. 2/4, that fraction can be reduced to 1/2. We can divide the top number by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And dividing the bottom number by 2 as well gives us that 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So now I know my slope is 1/2, but we always need to check when we're working with graphs, is it a positive slope or is it a negative slope? So if I look at this line from left to right, I'm going in the downward motion. It matches this negative slope here. So it is -1/2. That is my slope. Next up, we are going to identify the y-intercept. So we are going to look at our graph, find our y-axis, this line right here, and we're going to say, where does the line that we are writing the equation for cross this y-axis? So the meeting point is right here. You can see that point on the line. And the number that it crosses on is -3. So that is our y-intercept. And now we just have to put that information together to write our equation. Y equals mx plus b. So we put our m next to x, so -1/2 goes there, plus our b, which is -3. So our equation is y equals -1/2 x plus -3. All right, one more practice problem for us. Write an equation for the graph in slope-intercept form, that y equals mx plus b form. So first off, we are going to calculate that slope. We are going to find our rise over our run. So again, we're going to draw that slope triangle. You can draw it on the bottom half of the line, or again, you can draw it on the top half of the line. It's just your personal preference. So I'm going to put mine here on the bottom half. And then we are going to calculate that rise over run. So how much do we go down here? 4. And since I'm going down, I can say that that is going to be -4. And then how much do we go over? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. and that was to the right, so it stays positive. We have -4/5 for our slope. We can also check it to make sure it's negative by comparing it to the positive and the negative graphs. This line does look negative, and it goes down from left to right, so it is a negative slope. Next, we are going to identify the y-intercept. So we're going to find the point where the line touches the y-axis. So the point that it's on the blue line is right here. So now this graph is different because it doesn't have numbers on it. So when this happens, we just have to count from the origin or the center of our graph. So the center is where the two axes cross, the x and y axis cross each other. And this point is known as the origin with the coordinates 0, 0. So that is the center, the starting point of our graph. So I know that this line is 0, and then each line I go up is going to increase by 1. So this would be 1, this would be 2, and this, where the point is at, is 3. So I know that it's crossing the y-axis at 3. Now that we have our slope and our y-intercept, we can put that together to write an equation. So to write that equation, we're going to follow this format right here. Y equals mx. So I need my m value to go here. That's that -4/5. And then I put the x next to it. Always make sure you add the x next to your slope. Plus our b value, which is 3. And that is all there is to it, to writing an equation in slope-intercept form. Once you have completed these notes, you can complete the Unit 2 Part 2 check-in on Schoology. So for this check-in, it's not a Schoology quiz, it's an online practice that you can complete that will give you immediate feedback on if you are doing the problems correctly. It should allow you to do 10 problems without making an account. You should just be able to practice 10 problems and then make sure you take a screenshot when you are done. If you run into any issues or have any questions, please email me. Otherwise, you are free to work on your practice.